Hi, in today's video, we are going to discuss about job description, job description based coaching in context to the business analyst role in the field of investment banking. This is the video I'm making as many people who are applying for jobs may not have an idea over the domain specific because some people whoever have experience in the field of business analysis may not have experience in the field of particular domain, either it can be investment banking or anything else apart. And some people will have knowledge over the banking and other way around, right? So they may not have knowledge over the business analyst. So because business analyst is a kind of role which is majorly used for the career transformation as well as transition. In regard to that, it's always important for us to have an understanding over the skill set as a business analyst, whatever you require to perform. At the same time, having a knowledge on the respective domain. So in context to the investment banking, both are needed. And even some kind of technical skills also becoming important nowadays for any business analyst, because it's not only about the functional BA, some kind of technical skill set and technical knowledge is also required. Now and then, that's how the transformation is going on in the industry. So by keeping view in this into an account, so here I'm going to explain you about the business analyst and investment banking. Need to understand about business analyst and investment banking. In this regard, I'm going to explain the job description based coaching in different areas. One is about the responsibilities, second about the functional skills, next technical skills, followed by other key skills overall. At the same time, what are the focused areas and as well as industry specific. Now, let me explain you what a business analyst, because most of the people who are applying for job opportunities or who are learning business analyst must have an idea what exactly business analyst is all about. So business analyst is an individual or a group of people who are trying to understand the business situation of the customer and providing subsequent solutions. This is nothing to do with technology. This is nothing to do with domain. So as a business analyst, people should have some knowledge areas, because there are different knowledge areas being a business analyst one must be good with, like business analysis, planning and monitoring. So at the same time, in this, we need to understand about stakeholder engagement, business analysis, governance, all that stuff. At the same time, we need to have an understanding over conducting some illustration techniques called JAT sessions, etc. Followed by this, understanding enterprise or strategy of any organization, which is essentially required. Because understanding a particular enterprise of a particular domain specific or any enterprise or an organization, understanding their strategies, etc., by understanding the business case, right? So business situation, etc. These are all something required. Next, requirement lifecycle management. There are different stages of requirement lifecycle management, wherein tracing of requirements, prioritization of requirements, finalization, right? So requirements confirmation, all that. Next, requirement analysis and design definition, wherein to have a knowledge over analyzing the requirements and how to design the requirements and all, right? So that is needed. Finally, solution assessments and validating the solutions by having some test cases, etc. So this is an overall understanding over the role of a BA any individual must have. Now, when it comes to the responsibilities, when you're trying to understand the responsibilities for a person who is applying jobs in business analyst and investment banking, or you can generalize this even for retail banking, because if you have a retail banking knowledge, whatever the functional skill sets and all, everything may slightly vary. But if it is investment banking, it is completely relating to investment banking services only. So whatever the responsibilities as well as the functional technical skills I was mentioning here, I'm mentioning here to an extent possible. Don't expect me that everything, because domains are very larger in size, right? So whatever in an extent common understanding and common skill sets which require, or the responsibilities which is required for a BA, I'm mentioning here. So when it comes to the responsibilities itself is concerned, being a business analyst, you need to understand the business situation and the problem. So for any customer, if you are providing any particular solutions for a customer who is from the investment banking domain, so they must be following some business processes. To follow the business process, to use it, they require some applications to be used with. Sometimes they require this application to be enhanced to the next level because of the business situations or the enhancements happens, or else they may require to have some solution for the new processes. So it's always important being a BA to understand the business situation and the problem. This is the first thing. Understanding the business situation and as well as the problem is one of the key and major responsibility being a business analyst one must be good with. Next, we must be knowing about the business objective, need and scope. Why? What are the business objectives? Because objectives can be categorized into short-term and as well as long-term business objectives. Knowledge is required. At the same time, we need to understand the need, right? So by performing some need analysis, at the same time, we need to define the scope of the project, because if there is any deviations in the scope happen sometimes, it leads to confusion as well as delay in the project, right? So even in terms of it may leads to cost failure projects. So understanding the scope is also one of the key and prominent element. Next, gap analysis required. So when we are trying to transform the application from an as is and to be, this is where generally gap analysis we do. And to understand the business problem and all, root cause analysis is also required. There are different tools normally we use for all that. At the same time, feasibility study, right? So because when we are providing a solutions for a particular customer or a client, it's always important to understand the feasibility, right? So to what extent financially it is feasible and viable to us. Technically, is it viable? Because what kind of application or software and hardware requirements you are using, right? So either it can be an on-premise or it can be a cloud. So technical feasibility we have to see by considering the infrastructure, etc. Next, we need to have an understanding over operational feasibility, followed by considering the regulatory factors, all that, right? Regulatory feasibility. This is all something comes under the feasibility study part. Next, we need to translate whatever the problem was understood by us, that we need to translate it into a business solution. So when we are providing a business solutions and at the end of the day, this business solutions has to be translated into a technical solution. So understanding over the business problem or business requirements and business solution is needed. And these business solution will be translated into functional and non-functional. From there, how this can be implemented technically, this is where technical skills comes into picture. For this, with the help of technical team, normally we do, being a BA, not as an individual, we don't perform all the activities. So that is needed. So for that, to communicate, how you communicate this? To communicate this, normally we follow different requirement communication methods. Like, because if you follow the traditional practices and all, we prepare some business requirements documents, software requirements specifications, etc. Preparing some use cases, at the same time test cases. When we perform solution assessment and validations and all, test cases, all these things are required. These are all the communication from the document point of view. Visualization point of view, we have to prepare some use cases and sequences, all that, diagrams. And when we follow agile practices and all, in spite of writing documents, we always try to have a knowledge over the user stories and all. So if you want to write user stories, there are different tools we use like Jira, Rally, Azure DevOps. It depends on the industry to industry. These are all something will be varied. So writing user stories is also one of the key and prominent element as a BA one has to be understood with. Next, we need to understand the business process. This is important because these processes can be of any process. For example, when you want to understand about the different types, for example, we are providing a solution, something relating to foreign exchange, or something we are trying to understand to provide solution from the trade processing point of view, or else it can be relating to risk management. I'm naming few because there are a lot many. I'm naming few. Risk management. So trying to understand the business process is one of the key and prominent element. This is where generally this business process diagrams and all everything we prepare, so that the flow process is what something which you have to. So these are the responsibilities being a business analyst from the context of investment banking or the general response, whatever the responsibility I have given here. These are all something common for any BA role. This is not something specified for investment banking or something else. So these are all something common for anyone, right? These are all the responsibilities. Now, when it comes to the functional skills as a investment banking business analyst, these are the functional skills we require. Again, I'm repeating, whatever I'm mentioning might be few, because investment banking or banking domain or corporate banking or retail banking domain is very larger, right? Sometimes they may be required to have a knowledge over capital markets, etc. So it's a larger domain. I'm mentioning few of the functional skill set, what one must be good with. First and foremost thing, we need to have a detailed understanding about the workflow from front to back. Either it can be relating to fixed income, it can be relating to money markets or derivatives, etc. At the same time, to have a functional knowledge over deal capturing, deal executions, how the risk management practices will be taken care of. At the same time, confirmations, accounting and settlements. So these sort of functional skills are required. Next, FX options and bonds, foreign exchange options or bonds, right? So different bonds in the capital markets, because sometime back I told you, because some kind of capital market knowledge might also be required, because banking, capital markets, financial services, these are all something interconnected. So some business opportunities we get business analyst in retail banking, some in investment banking, some business analyst in capital markets. Some people like bonds and securities. Some people will ask in equity research, right? So this is how generally this will be segregated, because these are all the larger domains. So to understand it, but practically having a knowledge over the complete domain may not be possible for an individual to understand, even to work. So at least one or two areas, if you have knowledge, it is more helpful, right? So because remaining things, you get some confidence, right? So when you're applying for job opportunities or when you're attending for interviews, all that. So bond market, understanding the bond market, what are the interest rates which are fixed in the bond market, etc., and how these rates will change, all that. Next, financial statement analysis, because if you want to evaluate the financial position of the any customer or any client, financial statement analysis, wherein we do some comparison statement, common sense statement, understanding some ratio analysis. This sort of knowledge is also required. At the same time, corporate valuation. For example, if any organization is planning to go for an IPO, initial public offer, where they wants to raise funds from the public through registering themselves in the stock market, right? So we need to have some corporate valuation. This is even for loans as well as even to be in IPO. If they are planning to go for IPO and all, that corporate valuation is required. So how this corporate valuation will be done, right? So on what basis? At the same time, having a knowledge over mergers and acquisitions, M&A. So M&A either from the buyer side or seller side. Buyer side means when someone acquiring some other company. This is where buyer side we work with. Seller side means wherein we are selling our organizations to another, right? So this is where seller side. So that sort of knowledge is required. At the same time, AML, which is an additional and optional, in fact, anti-money laundering, having a knowledge over anti-money laundering. That's also becoming nowadays, it's becoming important. And I made a video on AML case study. I've posted already one anti-money laundering AML related case study for business analyst. I've already posted in my channel. You can view. I'll give you some related links to you relating to investment banking, whatever the videos I was made earlier. So I'll provide some links to you so that you have some understanding. Okay, this is all required. Next, IPO, initial public offer, because any organization wants to go for an IPO. So initial public offer, and what are the different processes happens, right? So when we wants to, because any organization, company wants to be listed in the public limited in the market, stock market, they required some investment banking people who can work on their behalf, right? So they'll be taking care of all the right fixation of the prices at the same time stock, whatever the lot, right? So because when we are going for IPOs and all everything, it basically based on the lots, right? So minimum lot consists of maybe 50 stocks, 100 or 200, right? That's how generally lots will be. And face value, because face value of a particular stock when we are moving for IPO, that will be fixed by these agencies or the companies who are associating with banks, because enterprises may not have that knowledge, so that they'll be working on their behalf at the same time doing a marketing for IPO and making people to aware about this industry and making people to invest on this by buying the IPOs, right? This is all something will be taken care of, so that IPO knowledge is also required. Next, when it comes to the technical skills, you should have a knowledge over the technical part, because when we are developing an application, irrespective of the domain I'm talking about, either it can be in capital markets or investment banking, or it can be healthcare, or it can be any other retail solutions or anything of that sort. Technical skills are required. So you need to have a knowledge over the software development life cycle, how the applications develops, right? So at the same time, when we are developing application developments under SDLC, there are different models like traditional model, agile, all that. At the same time, visualization of data, analyzing the data and querying the data is also required, so that to have a knowledge over some SQL or data visualizations like Power BI, Tableau, that knowledge is needed for people. Next, ETL process, because when we are working on migration projects, this is where ETL process is required, extract, transform, load. So that process is needed, followed by some data mapping knowledge. So these are all the technical skill sets. Apart from that, in depth, if you can go, need to have a knowledge over API, microservices. It can be of web services, right? So architecture, understanding our solution architecture or business architecture. These are all other technical skill sets which are advanced level are already there, but I'm mentioning few. Next, what are the other key skill overall areas? Because if you are applying for a job opportunity as an investment banking business analyst from the banking side, overall skill sets, if you are representing, you need to have a knowledge over financial analysis, as I told you, right? Financial statement analysis comes under that category. Mergers and acquisitions, equity research, at the same time, investment analysis, and market research, having a knowledge over the market research. At the same time, financial modeling, because this is one of the prominent expertise one must be good with, financial modeling using different tools. Even normal tools like Excel and all, everything will be used for the financial modeling. So that kind of skill sets also required overall. And the focused areas. Now, when it comes to the focus areas, when you are trying to apply for job opportunities, what are the focused areas to be focused? That's what something which we have to be good with. In context to the focused areas and all, one is about role specific, industry and department. Which role are we applying for? That is point number one, which should be focused more on. What is the kind of role you're applying? That is important. At the same time, we need to understand the industry, which industry we are applying for job opportunities and which department we belongs to. So this is also one of the area, because most of the people confuse us here, because should have a knowledge over the kind of role we are applying as a business analyst, as a BA you are applying, or else research analyst, investment analyst, right? These are all different roles. Industry, banking, investment banking industry, and it departments may be different departments in the investment banking sector. So these are the focused areas we need to be understood with. And last but not least, when you are trying to understand investment banking types and all, there are different types we have, like foreign exchange, trade processing, risk management, right, etc. There is a lot many. So these are the different types of understanding, because how the foreign exchanges will be taken place, how the trade processing, understanding about the trade life cycle, right? So Either it can be retail operations. Okay, that is required. So trade processing means trade settlements, right? So for example, someone is buying the stock, someone is selling the stocks. So that knowledge is required. So at the same time, how we are evaluating the risk and what risk analyzation measures are we taking on. These are all the different types of it. So this is where generally a business analyst, when they're applying for investment banking, or in extension to that, any retail banking, some retail operations required. So if you are applying for capital markets, you need to have a knowledge over capital market segment. So this sort of knowledge, followed by the business analyst skill sets knowledge, you need to have some functional and technical skills, so that it's always important for you to get some confidence, right? So because when you're applying for jobs or when you're planning to do any role as a business analyst, once you selected for any organization, hopefully. So what will happen is that you get some confidence so that you can work accordingly. So this is all about this video, because I'm conducting some job description based coaching for people, individuals and groups. At the same time, even domain trainings for a very long time. So as in when I see many, apart from, as I have got the request from many of my people, right? So whoever is approaching me and whoever is undergone the training at me. So many people were asking to provide me some job description based coaching. Hence, I am doing that. At the same time, domain training if it is required for the people. In this regard, I made this video so that it is helpful for all the people who are applying for jobs. At least one way or other way, I can help these people, right? So to attain their professional career successfully. So as in when I'm billing. So hence I made this video. I'm posting this. This is all about this. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.